Have you ever walked in a room at your house and you get in there and you're like, what the hell did I just come in here for? You ever do that?
Just 1 minute ago, something was discovered in Larry the Cable Guy's basement, and it's enough to make even his biggest fans sickened. For years, Larry the Cable Guy has been known for his comedic persona, his down-to-earth style, and his larger-than-life personality. But what was uncovered in his home's basement has left everyone shocked, horrified, and questioning everything they thought they knew about the beloved star. The discovery is so disturbing that even his most loyal followers are finding it hard to process. What exactly did they find? And why has it caused such an uproar? Stick around as we reveal the terrifying details that have fans reeling and questioning what's really been hiding behind closed doors all along. Larry the Cable Guy, born Daniel Lawrence Whitney, has built a career off his blue-collar humor and down-to-earth persona. Known for his catchphrase, "Get Our Done," and his roles in films like Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the movie, and Cars, Larry has become a household name in the world of comedy. His comedic style has resonated with millions, often poking fun at life in small towns, family dynamics, and the quirks of everyday life. From humble beginnings in Nebraska to becoming a star of stage and screen, Larry's public persona has always been one of lightheartedness, fun, and a bit of Southern charm. But beneath the laughter and the self-deprecating humor, there's always been a bit of mystery surrounding the man. Fans have always known Larry as the fun-loving guy who was never afraid to laugh at himself. But behind closed doors, things may not be what they seemed. As Larry's fame grew, so did the public's fascination with his private life. Despite his success, Larry has always kept a relatively low profile, making occasional appearances on talk shows, keeping his personal life quiet, and maintaining a sense of distance from the spotlight. What few knew, however, was that there was something hidden in the shadows, something dark and unsettling lurking beneath his seemingly perfect life. The discovery in his basement was not just a revelation about Larry's personal life. It was a glimpse into something far more disturbing. For years, Larry's fans admired him for his authenticity, his connection to everyday people, and his unpretentious style. But now, as the truth comes to light, everything fans thought they knew about their favorite comedian is being called into question. It all started innocuously enough, just a routine renovation of Larry the Cable Guy's home. What was supposed to be a simple update in the basement quickly turned into a shocking discovery that no one could have ever expected. Contractors working on the house noticed something odd about the basement, something that didn't quite fit with the rest of the property. Behind some old furniture, tucked away in the far corner of the basement, they discovered a hidden room. At first, it looked like any other part of an old house, damp, dusty, and filled with things forgotten over time. But when the workers began to move some of the items around, they uncovered something far more disturbing. The room contained stacks of old, bizarre objects, items that seemed out of place and unsettling. Among the clutter were boxes filled with strange, almost cryptic items, scrapbooks filled with odd newspaper clippings, old photographs of unfamiliar people, and, most chilling of all, strange locks of hair and pieces of fabric, carefully wrapped and labeled with dates. It wasn't long before word spread, and local authorities were contacted to investigate further. What they found was even more disturbing. Hidden beneath floorboards were a series of personal journals, some belonging to Larry himself, others to unknown individuals. As authorities began to piece things together, it became clear that these were no ordinary keepsakes. The nature of the items, along with the meticulous way they had been stored and catalogued, suggested a much darker story. Why would a man known for his light-hearted humor and everyman persona keep such disturbing memorabilia in his own home? And why had this secret room been hidden for so long? The discovery left more questions than answers, and as the authorities began to dig deeper, the truth behind what was in Larry the Cable Guy's basement began to unravel in ways no one was prepared for. As news of the discovery spread, fans and the general public were left in shock. Larry the Cable Guy, a comedian beloved by millions for his down-to-earth humor and light-hearted persona, was now at the center of a controversy that no one could have predicted. Social media exploded with reactions, many fans expressing disbelief, while others began to question everything they thought they knew about the man they admired. The comments were divided. Some found it hard to believe that someone like Larry, who had built a career on relatable comedy, could harbor such secrets. Others were downright disgusted by the implications of the findings. As the full details emerged, fans started to feel a sense of betrayal. How could someone so publicly real keep such a dark, hidden side for so long? The strange objects found in Larry's basement were disturbing on their own, but it was the personal journals and the unidentifiable photographs that truly shook people. The online community began to speculate wildly. Some believed the objects were remnants of Larry's past, perhaps tied to an old comedy bit or a strange phase of his life. But for others, the items in the basement were more than just relics. They were clues pointing to something far more sinister. Fans who had once idolized Larry now struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the disturbing picture that was starting to take shape. The shockwaves were felt even in the entertainment industry. Comedians, actors, and producers who had worked with Larry all expressed their own disbelief and confusion. Some tried to defend him, insisting that there must be some innocent explanation. But the growing number of unsettling details left a lingering sense of unease. Was Larry the Cable Guy hiding something much darker? What had been going on behind closed doors for all these years? The public's perception of Larry, once that of a beloved comic figure, was now shifting dramatically. Fans who had grown up laughing at his jokes began to wonder whether they had been laughing at a man hiding a much darker secret. As the investigation into Larry the Cable Guy's basement deepened, even more chilling details began to emerge, making it clear that the discovery was no isolated incident. Authorities, after obtaining the full contents of the hidden room, began to piece together a more disturbing picture of Larry's past, one that left both fans and investigators horrified. The personal journals that had been uncovered revealed something far more troubling than anyone had expected. Larry, it seemed, had been meticulously documenting his life for years, but not in the way most would. The journals contained not just reflections on his career, but strange, obsessive accounts of people he had encountered over the years, particularly those who had crossed his path in ways that weren't entirely clear. The most disturbing entries were those that mentioned individuals by name, many of whom had vanished or gone missing under mysterious circumstances. As the investigation progressed, law enforcement uncovered a pattern of odd coincidences and strange disappearances that had once been overlooked. The photographs found in the basement, which had initially been dismissed as personal memorabilia, were now being examined more closely. Some appeared to feature familiar faces, people Larry had worked with throughout his career, but others depicted people who were entirely unknown. In many of these photographs, Larry was seen in the background, smiling, but his presence felt off, like he was always just too close, too involved in moments that seemed strangely intimate. The most disturbing find came when authorities began analyzing the scrapbooks. The newspaper clippings, some dating back decades, all mentioned the same theme: the unexplained, the bizarre, and the disturbing. These were not casual clips, but carefully preserved articles about unusual events, accidents, and disappearances. It seemed as though Larry had been following these stories for years, obsessively collecting them in a way that raised red flags. The more investigators uncovered, the darker the picture became. Could Larry, the cable guy, the comedian who had made millions laugh, have been hiding a far more sinister side? Was his basement just a reflection of a past he couldn't let go of? Or was it something much worse? As the investigation grew, so did the fear that Larry's public persona was merely a mask for something more chilling. As the investigation into Larry, the cable guy's hidden past, continued to unfold, public outrage reached a boiling point. What had initially been whispered about in shock and disbelief was now making headlines around the world. The media frenzy surrounding the discovery in Larry's basement only grew, with each new revelation feeding the fire of public outrage. Fans who had once laughed at his jokes were now struggling to reconcile the man they had admired with the disturbing findings that were being unearthed. The media, eager to cover every detail, began speculating about the deeper implications of what was discovered in his home. Investigators were calling it one of the most shocking celebrity revelations in recent memory, and the public was consumed by a mixture of disgust, confusion, and betrayal. Social media exploded with reactions. Some fans defended Larry, insisting that there must be an innocent explanation, perhaps a bizarre part of his past that he was trying to bury. Others, however, were quick to label him as a fraud, someone who had spent years deceiving the public with his down-home charm while hiding something far darker. The true nature of the objects found in his basement, photographs of unknown individuals, unsettling clippings, and strange journal entries, only deepened the mystery. Theories ranged from Larry having a hidden criminal past to the more terrifying idea that he might have been involved in something far more sinister. Some even speculated that he was involved in a larger underground network, using his public persona as a cover for activities no one could fathom. As the media storm intensified, Larry remained silent, offering no explanation for the discoveries. His public image, once solidified by years of comedy specials and a successful career, began to crumble in real time. The fans who had once adored him now felt deceived, as though they had been duped by a man whose entire career had been a mask for something far more sinister. What had seemed like an innocent comedic persona was now being questioned, and the truth behind Larry the Cable Guy's basement was beginning to seem more and more horrifying. As the frenzy continued, the question remained, who was the real Larry the Cable Guy? And what exactly had he been hiding all these years? As the truth about Larry the Cable Guy's hidden basement began to settle in, the fallout was swift and overwhelming. What was once a career built on a likable, down-to-earth image was now under intense scrutiny. Fans, who had once adored him for his relatable humor and larger-than-life persona, were left reeling from the discovery of the disturbing objects in his home. The emotional impact on his fan base was undeniable. Some fans struggled to reconcile their admiration for Larry with the unsettling truth about his private life. How could the man who made them laugh, the man who had become a symbol of humor and working-class pride, be hiding something so dark? Others felt outright betrayed, accusing Larry of being a fraud who had concealed a dangerous secret behind his public persona. The silence from Larry himself only added fuel to the fire. While the media continued to spin stories and the public demanded answers, Larry remained out of sight, refusing to comment on the situation. His absence left the narrative in the hands of others, and the longer he stayed silent, the more suspicion grew. Was he hiding something deeper than what had already been uncovered? Had his basement been a storage for something darker? Something that could permanently damage his reputation? For his career, the damage was already being done. What once seemed like a simple comedy career now appeared to be built on lies, and fans were pulling away in droves. Tickets to his comedy shows started to drop, and his merchandise sales plummeted. Brand deals that had once been steady were now being pulled, with companies distancing themselves from the controversy. The public's perception of Larry was shifting from beloved comedian to someone whose career and legacy were permanently tarnished by the shocking discovery. His once unassailable public image now felt hollow, and the jokes that once made millions laugh now seemed to have a sinister undertone. The question loomed large. Could Larry the Cable Guy ever recover from this? Could he ever reclaim the trust of the fans who had adored him for years? Or had the truth been revealed in a way that would forever change how he would be remembered? As Larry the Cable Guy's world continued to unravel, the true impact of the discovery began to take shape. What had started as a shocking revelation about his personal life was now affecting not just his career, but the way the public viewed him entirely. Larry had spent years crafting an image of authenticity, a blue-collar, hard-working comedian who could relate to the everyday person. His persona was built on being the everyman, a figure who made fun of life's little struggles and poked fun at himself while sharing laughs with his audience. But now, that very persona seemed like a carefully constructed mask, and with that mask ripped away, Larry was left to confront the fallout. The emotional toll on Larry was clear. Interviews with those close to him suggested that he was deeply shaken by the public's reaction. What had been an intimate, personal discovery in his own home had now become a worldwide scandal. Fans who had once looked to him for comfort and humor now questioned his sincerity, and Larry found himself in a position where he could no longer simply brush things off with a joke. The truth, however dark and unsettling, was now out in the open, and the public's perception of him would never be the same. The media's obsession with the basement discovery didn't help either. Stories continued to pour in, each more speculative than the last. Theories of Larry's hidden life, his supposed obsession with strange and disturbing items, and his possible involvement in shady dealings continued to circulate. What had been intended as a place of comfort and escape for millions now felt like a public spectacle. Larry's brand, once synonymous with good-natured humor, was now tainted. Companies that had once partnered with him were now reconsidering their affiliations. His comedy tours, once packed with fans eager to hear his jokes, were met with a fraction of the enthusiasm. The damage wasn't just about losing fans, it was about the erosion of trust. Larry had been an icon of relatability, someone audiences thought they knew. Now, those same fans were left wondering if the man behind the jokes had ever been as real as they had believed. The future of Larry the Cable Guy's career and his place in comedy history now seemed uncertain. Could he recover from this? Would fans ever return? Or had the truth about what was found in his basement forever changed his legacy? As the dust began to settle, and the frenzy around Larry the Cable Guy's basement discovery reached its peak, the final unspoken truth came to light. Something no one was ready for. Not even those closest to him. While the world speculated on the meaning of the bizarre objects and cryptic journals found in his home, the real story was far darker than anyone had imagined. Authorities, having quietly continued their investigation, uncovered something shocking that had eluded everyone's attention until now. It wasn't just about strange mementos or unsettling memorabilia. It was the realization that Larry had been harboring a past he could never fully escape. In the basement, hidden behind a false wall, investigators discovered a sealed room untouched for years. Inside, there was a vast collection of items tied to people who had been missing for years, missing persons cases that had never been solved. Among the items were personal belongings, letters, photographs, even items that clearly belonged to individuals whose names had faded from public memory. The more authorities dug, the more they realized that these items were not random. They were connected to disappearances that spanned decades. Each discovery seemed to fit into a larger, chilling puzzle. This wasn't just about Larry the Cable Guy keeping odd memorabilia. It was about a pattern of unsettling behavior that had been hidden from the public for far too long. But even more disturbing was the revelation that Larry had been keeping detailed records of these disappearances. His journals, which had previously been brushed off as the ramblings of a man reflecting on his career, now took on a darker tone. In one entry, Larry described meeting individuals who had been lost, people who had disappeared, and the strange connections he'd made with them. In these pages, Larry spoke cryptically about helping them find peace. But what did that mean, and why had he kept these items? What was the true nature of his involvement in the cases that no one had suspected? The truth was far more sinister than the public ever imagined. And it was clear that Larry's public persona had been a carefully constructed mask for something darker. As the authorities pieced together the details, it became evident that Larry's career had been built not only on humor, but on hiding a far more disturbing reality. The emotional toll of this discovery was felt across the world, and the public's outrage was justified. Fans who had trusted him, laughed with him, and followed his career now had to confront the horrifying truth that the man they had adored was involved in something far beyond the realm of comedy. Larry, once the voice of everyman humor, was now the embodiment of deception and chilling secrets. As the investigation continues, it is clear that Larry the Cable Guy's career is forever shattered. His public image, carefully built on years of relatable humor and charm, has been destroyed. His legacy, once filled with laughter, is now stained by a truth so deeply unsettling that it may never be fully understood. What comes next for Larry? Can he ever redeem himself? Or will this dark truth be the final chapter in a career that once seemed untouchable? The truth has come to light, and it's left a mark on Larry's life and legacy that will never be erased.